Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Coffin, HRA Advisories. It is Friday, September 22nd, 2023. I'm in Vancouver at the Metal Investors Forum, and I'm here with Tom Ullrich. He's the CEO of Aston Bay Holdings. Aston Bay is a company I've followed and owned for a few years. They have an interesting and very large project in Nunavut called Storm. They also have some projects in Virginia, but we'll probably mainly stick to Storm. They've joint ventured Storm to an Australian company called American West Metals, and they've been pulling some really nice, shallow, high-grade copper intervals. But what really got the market's attention, and certainly got me sort of jacked up again, was they did some surveying, and I'll get Tom to walk us through that a little bit. They did some new survey types early this year, and as it turns out, those have been successful in targeting what I called at the time sort of the holy grail for this project, which is deeper sediment-hosted copper mineralization. And I'll probably get Tom to give us a sort of an overview of that, because this is a sediment-hosted model. It's one of those models that has, it can have both scale and grain, which is why it's a very highly prized model and why Aston Bay was suddenly getting so much attention. It's a pretty big deal that these guys seem to have discovered an intact sediment-hosted system. Lots of work still to do, but it's looking pretty exciting so far. So can you tell us how, you've had Storm for a while, and you and some of your predecessor companies drill some nice, there's nice shallow holes there. But I think, because I remember you and I talking about this years ago, and you and I and Dave Bradden talking about this years ago, the real, shallow high-grade stuff notwithstanding, the real kind of prize that everybody was looking for was this sediment-hosted stuff. Why were you so sure you'd find it on this project, and how did it come about that you finally did find it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I won't go into the full geologic details, but this is one of those rare projects that it ticked all the boxes. The exploration of the geology boxes. That you want. It has all the properties. That can support. That kind of a sediment-hosted copper style of mineralization. And not only did we see that, but clearly we see at the surface. Those near surface intercepts, that quite commonly get found by Cominco back in the 90s. You're talking multiple percent copper over tens of meters right at the surface. Now that's very enticing. Being in the north, it makes it a little more difficult, but we think with American West, they're typical Australians, you might want to say, they want to mine that, and I think at the moment the market is not giving us a whole lot of credit for that. Down the road, I think that will be seen as a very smart thing. But certainly the most important thing, though, and really what's giving the juice, into our share price, as it is this deep potential, and that near surface mineralization. Really the most important thing about it right now for us is it demonstrates that there's a very efficient mineralizing system at play here, right? And so we have a large basin, that has essentially. The copper has been scavenged in essentially one fluid here, one large fluid. We don't have intrusions in bringing, different, episodes of mineralization. We have this one fluid, and it's depositing, we know very efficiently, at the surface, in the faults, in the smaller near surface zones. There's every reason to believe that, if we're having that kind of mineralization at the surface, if we can find the correct geologic environment, and really what you need in the subsurface there is, some rocks that have, permeability, so the fluids can flush through, and space to fill with metals, and essentially the right chemical conditions. We see all that happening at the surface. We can always postulate that it was there at depth, and then, really with the last drill hole of last season, we demonstrated that we do have those large zones of permeable horizons that have the right chemical conditions and have the right have the mineralization, sulfide mineralization, and everything fell into place. That it ticked all the boxes. This year we came back, we have visual results that we've demonstrated that we are seeing the same zonation of minerals, mineralization, metals, in some of these, actually in every hit. And we targeted a couple of different gravity anomalies using 4 different drill holes, and we hit in every drill hole. It's an amazing exploration result. But to hit that, essentially the same style of mineralization that we're seeing at the surface, where we know we have significant grade, in the subsurface where we think we can have significant size, certainly judging by the size of the geophysical anomalies that we have intercepted, that are really difficult to explain. I'd say almost impossible to explain, by anything other than sulfide mineralization. We have gravity anomalies in a very boring succession of limestone rock. I don't like to say boring because but it makes a geologist mad. But we've taken the measurements, density measurements down the hole. The only spot in these very deep drill holes, 602 meters, the only spot where we're getting high density rock is right where the sulfide mineralization is, and it's modeling in the geophysical models right at the right spot. And so that, to me, that says the only thing that explains sulfide as far as a gravity anomaly, the only thing that explains the gravity anomaly is sulfide mineralization. And we're seeing the same thing with conductance, electrical conductance on EM anomalies. Really the only thing that explains those EM anomalies, sulfide mineralization, right? And so those two things together, that's extremely powerful for us, as far as an exploration, strategy going forward, because, it's great. We've always postulated these things were at depth, and now, we have 2 methods together that we've demonstrated are very powerful at finding them, and we've demonstrated we've previously had some significant, airborne anomalies. That's what the airborne gravity anomalies that we had run back in 2017. I think we were all very excited about them in 2018. Unfortunately, when we modeled them in 3 dimensions, they came out to be very deep, more than a kilometer down, which is really too deep for the drill holes, right? In the Arctic. We came back this season in the spring program, did a higher resolution ground gravity survey. Fantastic results from that. We did it just in the area around the near surface mineralization, and there was always there's two anomalies there that we had seen in the airborne, again, that had modeled a kilometer down. When we ran the new surveys and remodeled it with the new better data, we've shown that the old model was not quite right in terms of depth, and the new stuff modeled up around 350 meters depth, very reachable with the drill. The top 500 meters is very doable. Again, we've demonstrated over 600 meters this year. So those anomalies, all of a sudden, we hit copper sulfide mineralization every anomaly, and it really opens it up, for the other bigger anomalies that we haven't had a chance to really.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you've got, there's gravity anomalies that you guys haven't tested yet that are really large, and plus there's a lot of the system. You only had so much time to get these ground gravity EM loop surveys done this year. Presumably, given how well they work, you want to make these surveys a lot bigger in the next year's season.
Better too. One of the great things we have now is we've taken those measurements down the drill hole for gravity. We're going to take physical property measurements from the actual drill core for EM. And now, we can input actual real numbers into these geophysical models where normally you use an assumption for, right? So the better data you get in, the better result we get. So we think even using the small amount of new data that we have, we can get a better result there. But even more importantly, the big excitement for me is coming into the spring program next year. We're going to be able to design both larger and better gravity surveys and EM surveys that can specifically target the kind of mineralization that we've now proven is there, right? And so I think some of these gravity anomalies off to the southeast, we were always excited about them. They're 5 kilometers by 1 kilometer. These are big anomalies, and even more importantly, they match the predictive geologic model very well. They're bounded by, essentially you have a density anomaly that's bounded on both sides by faults, deep faults that we know actually host the mineralization of that 4100 zone, 2750. These are very productive faults, and we know the fluids are moving through them. And again, you have a density anomaly between those two faults, and it's difficult to explain anything other than sulfide. That's a pretty compelling target.
Yeah. So, and you guys are going to be, I know there's going to be quite good news still for probably 2 or 3 months. You got a bunch of stuff coming between the deep holes and shallow drill holes, plus the work that American West is doing on this direct shipping option. And you guys started early days. They were aggressive. They started early this year. I assume you're going to start early next year too, push the season as much as you can. But on top of that, I guess, Aston Bay is just essentially raising some money right now. You anticipate maybe doing a little bit of work on the other projects set in Virginia?
Absolutely, yeah. For Storm, we do still have good news flow coming, certainly for the rest of the year. Still more results, and then of course the 43101 resource, on maiden resource on the initial zones here, and we know that's going to get bigger because we've made new near surface discoveries this year. I think very enticing is going to be the scoping studies that we've contracted with Ausenco, an engineering firm, to essentially work up some scoping studies, give us an idea of, for the near surface proposed project up there, what are the time frames? We think that we can get this, very compressed time frame here. We think it's a very low, small impact kind of an operation, and we want to get going up there. So time frames, we expect it to be very low capex. And some more information, as I mentioned, on the beneficiation, how we're going to get the ore, and ideas about transport corridors and how we get the ore to market, because that's critical. If you don't have first we got to get the resource done first, so we can start calling it ore rather than mineralization, and then you got to get it to market. And then capitalize on that. So it's great news flow for that coming out. But then expect to have a bit of a lull, typically from the Storm project. But we have some fantastic opportunities down in Virginia. A Storm, we consider Storm to be a win for our business model. And we want to work up these projects, take it to that next tier to crystallize some value for our shareholders. And I think looking at our stock price this year, you can definitely say we've done that. It's from the beginning of the year, something like 10 times up, right? So that's fantastic. And we're not done yet with Storm. Still a lot to come. But certainly now that we have no expenditures required for us at Storm, we're free carried through to a bankable feasibility study, which is going to be a little ways down the road yet. So that allows us, with the money that we raise now, essentially try to do it again. Right now, next we plan on looking down in Virginia. We have picked up Don Taylor's projects down there and have him helping direct this exploration. We already, we know we have a high grade gold vein. It has, it comes right to the surface. We've only drilled about 80 meters depth. We think it has it's ounce plus material, 120 meters strike length. We don't know what the down dip extent might be on this ore shoot. We've picked up over a mile of potential strike length here, where we know we're getting good gold in the pans, good gold panning. That's how you find these things down there. So we have certainly both down dip and a long strike potential there. And then over on this base metals belt that Don has always proposed, and demonstrated that we do have SEDEX style of mineralization there that has significant size. What we've drilled to date hasn't had the grade, but we do know that elsewhere, there is significant grade, 2+% copper, over 5% zinc, and even 0.24% cobalt in some of these. It's never been followed up. We've demonstrated systems of a size of a mile by half a mile. If we can get bring the two things together, that kind of size with the kind of grade, and some of the sparse drilling that's been done out there, again, that's another game changer as well. So we can start work on that. We've raised the money right now. Start work on it over the fall here. Generate some news flow over the winter, sort of quiet times as far as Storm news flow goes. So you just layer that news flow on, and it's going to be an exciting time. So discovery potential throughout the year for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a great year. I mean, gone from being way too quiet to really busy and really seeing the profile of the company increase so much and the market cap and the share price, thankfully. So this is a great story. I mean, I love this story. It's great to see, the good guys win one. I mean, these guys spent a long time figuring out how to target this, and they've proven that they've got this great sediment-hosted model. When they have time to get to Virginia, they got to find the right thing to put a hole into. But there too, I think it's worth saying that they have they had a grassroots gold discovery, and they had a grassroots sediment discovery. Didn't have a lot of grade, but again, this is another type of very big system. So, Aston Bay is on to some pretty interesting stuff in 2 or 3 places. BAY on the venture. This is one you should be paying attention to. This is looking pretty interesting. Thanks for coming by, Tom.